What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to RV Daydream, and we're going to get Heidi on here. Everybody say hi to Heidi. Heidi was on her phone. So we're going to have Jesse from EZCOM. Let's go ahead and get him on here. And there he is. Let's go ahead and get your chat going so we can get an idea of... Hello, we can see you and hear you. Awesome. Now, Heidi, you can get on to YouTube on the live stream. Hello, James. I'm going to have to get rid of my logo, it looks like here. Let everybody join on here. Round two is the charm. So everybody that's jumped on with us, let us know what you've got as far as audio and video. Make sure everything's coming across okay. Hi, does your YouTube come up?
Yep, I got it. How many what? Screens? 3.
I'm monitoring it on my screen, my second screen here as well.
20. You didn't say that.
Yes, Darren, I can see the chat.
Yes, Jesse has access to all that. So what we wanted to do is something that we've been dealing with for a while, and that is our internet and how we do internet and how we've been doing internet and how we are now doing internet in conjunction with the way we used to do internet. And for the last year and a half, has it been a year and a half or two? All of our communication and everything's been going through Jesse and his devices. And they've changed a couple times since we started. But what we wanted to talk about here is basically you guys that are wanting the full time, or even the people at home that are just stationary. That's the thing that we have a tendency to not convey too well because we're thinking that we're communicating with mainly people that are full-time RVers. And we realize that a lot of you guys are just sitting at home watching us, and you're occasional RVers, but you're also landline or worse, uh, hooked up with these cable companies, getting your internet. And there's other ways to do it. And the nice thing is the way that we're set up. Obviously, we're mobile, but we don't have to be. We could be stationary, and it'd be the same for you guys. You would be stationary, but you could be mobile if you wanted to, also. And you're going to find, I think, that the cost options are going to come pretty close to what the cable companies are charging for their setup. For example, I think Heidi's mom, how much was she?
Oh my gosh. It's at one point she's paying like $350, and she had very slow internet.
Yeah, it was horrible. Her downloads weren't that great at all. Um, and it was all because she wanted to watch soap operas, out of all things, which she calls her stories. So she was paying like $300 a month just to watch soap operas, and having the most horrendous slow internet, to the point where when we would go over and look at it and try to connect to it, we couldn't do anything. So we're trying to educate, I guess, on this one. We have, if you guys don't know, which we talked about in the past, a EZCOM special, which is a router that Jesse offers, and it is plug and play. All we had to do is just plug it in. We had to put it in the window, which, quite honestly, I don't even think we had to do that. Other than our RV is an aluminum cage, sometimes it was a little bit more difficult than others. But what we could do is pick up cellular signals just like we did with our cell phones, and use that as a hotspot. It's basically like a big giant cell phone hotspot that has extra antennas and extra power and extra computing capabilities.
I have one of those.
And it would allow the signals to come in and be broadcast to our TV set. We have 4 security cameras that we're streaming, and we have 3 Amazon devices that are here that we watch, all of our movies with. And of course, we have 2 laptops. And then sometimes, if our T-Mobile's not that great, in our case, we have T-Mobile phones, we'll actually sign on with our phones to use the internet that way. And that's been working for us really well for the last year and a half. But we wanted to see if there was another way we might be able to do this. And Jesse was kind enough to keep us on a short list for whenever Starlink was a little bit more flexible with traveling. And that got us into what we're currently doing now is Starlink. Now, the other thing is Jesse's got offered through his company something else that we've been using for a while, and that is simply the best TV. And the TV has all the series from all the channels, Apple Plus. I mean, there's so much stuff on there. It's overwhelming. I think I could waste probably 30 minutes to try to find a show, just going through everything if I'm really interested in that. But there's also, a dedicated movie database with a ton of movies that are always being added to it. Some of them relatively recent, really recent movies. And also for everybody that's overseas, as far as if you're in the U.S., you're traveling and you want to watch your favorite back home channels, that's a good source for it. There's a lot of different countries you can choose. So if you, and I know it's confusing, and that's why we have Jesse here. Out of all the stuff that we did, we know this is the way to go. We know this has been working for us the longest over the greatest area. If you guys remember, if you haven't been watching us for a while, for the people that have been watching us for a while, we did 22,000 miles last year in 33 states. And there was only a few times that we had any issues with connectivity. And we just added, like I said, Starlink, so we should be even in better shape in a lot of the locations that might be a little bit more desolate. But cell towers are popping up. There's more cell towers than there are satellites to attach to right now, but that's going to be changing. Everybody knows. I mean, this is going back years. Whenever I think it was Philips was starting to offer some sort of satellite internet, everybody thought that it would be the way to go back then. Unfortunately, they just never fine-tuned it, and they were trying to use existing space technology that just wasn't there. And basically, by the time they rented a satellite or a group of satellites from somebody to utilize it, it just didn't work. So obviously, Elon Musk, being the guy that he is, he decided to put up all his own satellites. And of course, it's working so much better than something that tried to actually, I think that was back in 2000. I remember we were actually looking at getting satellite internet because we didn't have high-speed internet that was available near us. So I know that normally our live chats, it's us just shooting the bull with you guys about everything. And I'm going to open the floor up to Jesse, let him talk to you about whatever he feels like, however he wants to pitch you guys. And you guys need to hammer him on the questions because I had so many questions when I first started this. I just didn't even know how it worked at all. And it was really, really simple. So go ahead and fire away and let Jesse say his piece.
Well, first of all, welcome everybody. Thanks for having me, Mike and Heidi.
Yep, absolutely.
I think this has been a long time coming.
Yes.
We talk occasionally on our own, but we've been threatening each other to do a live chat like this for quite some time.
Yes.
So I see a couple of comments and things coming in, and maybe we'll start addressing those. A couple of things I'd like to put out there. Obviously, as you've touched on, there are several, maybe an understatement, several different ways to do internet. There's cellular per a single company. There's cellular with dual SIMs. There's Starlink. There's fixed wireless, otherwise known as WISP. There's all kinds of things. One thing that I do want to get out here very, very quickly for legal and contractual reasons, at this exact moment, as we're live and at the airing date of this video when it goes on our archives later, at this moment in time, I am not currently a Starlink dealer. That is in process. There's paperwork being worked on, and that's in the background. But as of this moment, I have to tell you, I am not a full dealer. That is still in process. So that now that that's out of the way, let's talk about some things. One of the first things I saw pop up was Sam here saying that Starlink has an RV package. That's true. There's actually a couple of different ways to do Starlink now. The most well-known and common way is what I like to call the static residential plan. Now, that does not mean it has a static IP. What that means is it's meant for your home, one address. It's not going to go mobile, that it's for that one place and that one place only. The problem is with that plan, there's both good and bad. The problem is that most people that sign up for that are easily on a 1 year, 18 months, many people on at least a 2 year or better wait. And that's still the case. So it's wonderful. That plan is by far the highest priority. We'll probably get into priority a little bit later, I'm sure. But that plan's the highest priority. It's the front of the line. They're always going to get the most, fastest, best connection. The RV plan that just came out, and they do put I don't know that it's really a warning, but right on their website, they'll tell you, hey, it's a best effort. This is low priority. It's, after every other person or type of plan is taken care of. If there's something left over, you can have some. So yes, both of those things are things you can get on your own. One is a good wait period. The other one you can get now, but again, you might get led on the interstate, if there's not too much traffic. The third thing that we've been doing, and this is what I did for Mike, is sort of a hybrid between the two plans. That is a medium priority. So it's definitely above the RV plan, but it is below that residential plan. So, but it's sort of a hybrid. Now, the beautiful thing is if you, hi, Jeff, if you are on this kind of third plan that I've been working with customers on, if you become stationary and if space is available, then it can be switched to a residential plan. And if not, that's okay as well. I'm getting a little sidetracked here. Let's see. Do we have another question here? Or Mike, do you have some thoughts on what I've said so far? Do you have a direction maybe we should go from here?
No, actually, the whole idea behind the plans and the way that they're currently laid out is a little bit misleading, because everybody was thinking, and as I did, okay, so there's a residential plan, and at the time that they first set it up, they told everybody, you're going to put it in your yard, you're going to put it on your roof, you're going to plant it, whatever, and that's it. It's going to be there. And then we started seeing videos of people screwing around and hey, I went to this place and it still worked. And then they went to other places and they didn't work. Then there was people that were getting completely kicked off or disconnected. I mean, to the point where I think their service was discontinued because they were out moving it around and they weren't supposed to be.
Let's touch on that real quick.
Yeah.
Let's touch on that real quick. So believe it or not, and most people can see a link to a map. And what you'll notice, I mean, there's lots of maps out there. There's an official Starlink map. There's all of these other maps that other people have made that are tracking the satellites and stuff. Anyway, point is, much like a cell phone tower, believe it or not, Starlink is divided into cells. And obviously there are many, many thousands, hundreds of thousands even probably, just in the United States alone, let alone Canada, Mexico, France, England, whatever. Each one of these cells is only about, I haven't measured it on Google Maps, so please understand this is an estimate, but from experience, they appear to be about 20 miles in diameter from side to side. And this was a great example. I actually had my Starlink from way back in the beta test. I got it 2 and something years ago, one of the first. And I thought I would take it up to my friend's house, which is about 15 miles north of me. And we set it up and put it up. And we expected some problems and stuff, but it pretty much just didn't work. Now, interestingly enough, I came back home and it worked fine again. I was back in my own cell. Now I tried another friend's house that was about 10 miles to the east of me. And we got out there and it didn't know the difference. It worked perfectly. He was in the same cell. As it turns out, when the maps came up, he was in the same cell. So that was my home cell. I could move around a little bit, but not much. And you did not know where those boundaries were either. So that's kind of what was happening there. Now, again, with the RV plan, it's ignoring the boundaries. You can go anywhere and you can throw your Starlink up on the picnic table or one of the poles on your ladder or whatever it is that you do. And it doesn't care what cell you're in. But what it does care about is how many other people are in that cell that were there first. And I don't mean by RVs first. I mean, they have their houses. They waited their turn in line, whatever that was. You know, they're meant to be there, whereas you on an RV plan are visiting. So just like a visitor, forced courteousness, I guess, maybe, you're going to kind of get the leftover internet. It's theirs first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, and that was whenever we first started. I again thinking, well, maybe we can move this around to get away with it. And then whenever you had said, or I'm sorry, whenever Starlink started talking about an RV plan, then I thought, okay, well, that's the one to get. I'm going to go ahead and get that one. That's gonna be the way to go because we are traveling. We're in an RV. But then you explained to me about how the RV plan worked and the deprioritization or the back of the line kind of thing, and it got me thinking that maybe I need to not be doing that, or then experiment more than anything else. Experiment. So that's kind of where we got to where we're at now, is experimenting to see how it works. But like you said, being that it's kind of a hybrid, it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. So I see Sam, Mr. Sam here popping in several times. Just to hit you up real quick. Yes, on this particular live chat, I don't think we're going to talk too much about placing individual orders or anything, but specifically to you and anybody else that has the same question, afterwards or anytime, that's what I'm here for. Yes, I can help you get set up and get going. And part of what we're trying to do tonight is talk to anybody about maybe situations with why would I want option A over B and C, or vice versa. There are definitely times when cellular is going to be much better than Starlink or any satellite for that matter. I mean, keep in mind, cellular doesn't really care about trees too much. I mean, maybe a little bit, but generally speaking, you can walk around in the woods and talk on your phone. You can't do that with satellite. Not Starlink, not Viasat, not HughesNet, which Viasat and HughesNet. I guess if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all, right? But not that those are really portable anyway.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that we try to reiterate, and it's, I know what it comes across whenever we're doing a video. It seems like it's coming across that we're just pushing you guys in a direction. The amount of choices that you have based on your specific situation doesn't do anybody any good, especially us on a video, to explain exactly what you need to be doing. So that's whenever we're talking to you about EZCOM in general, we're just telling you, contact them. Just contact them. Don't let them, you've got to tell them what your situation is. It would be like me picking your next car, or picking your next RV, or picking out your next house, or even picking out your meal. I can't, there's just no way. Everybody's got their own taste and their own idea. You may have a problem with, for example, the tree situation. Although we haven't had much problems. We're in an open area right now, but we are close to our RV. And when I put it out front, it did a little search, and it decided that it needed more. Whenever I used my phone for the clear sky, it seen too much of the RV. So I put it in the back of the RV, and that was my bad. It was the first time ever. I mean, I used to have DirecTV for, hey, Hyde, how long did we have DirecTV for? How long do you?
The most common answer is about 30 years. Let me guess. That's probably what you're going to say, right?
It was a long time. It was well, when we first got DirecTV, I had to go to the local dealer. You didn't buy it online. I had to go to the local guy that sold all TVs and washers and dryers and refrigerators. And I had to pay him $570 for a small receiver that didn't have a ton of functions, that went on one TV in the bedroom. And then the big receiver that I had all the functions on it for the living room. Then I had to buy the dish. I had to mount it. I had to run the cable, all that stuff. And like I said, I had to pay him like $500 for the privilege of having DirecTV. And everything, every time we moved or went somewhere else, which wasn't that often, we only lived in a couple houses after that. We put it, same way, facing the southern sky. So here I just assumed incorrectly that I was going to put this thing out, and I need to have a pretty good, clear, unobstructed view of the southern sky. And it's the exact opposite for what they're saying down here. I needed to have the northern sky. They told me.
Well, it's not completely northern though. I mean,
Yes,
as you can
it's
see
not.
from your app, it's more up with a
Right.
slight tilt to the north. You know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it was really, hey, Herbie's jumped on here. Yeah, it was interesting for me to find out that, uh, first of all, that thing would do almost all the work for you. It was nothing like what I was used to years ago. Again, mounting a dish manually. It's just out there moving around. Heidi didn't realize that it moved. I had her out there shooting some video, and she started to come in the house or back in the RV, and I told her, I said, "What are you doing? I need you to be out there whenever this thing starts moving around." She didn't know that it did that. So it was nice that it did it all by itself. I was impressed with that. So whenever whenever you guys come to the conclusion that you want to have internet and be mobile with it, or not, even at your house, we're just trying to tell you this is the guy that you need to talk to about it. Now, of course, with his offerings, there's something entirely different that is, at least in our case, going along with it, and that's his whole TV package, which that was something that we initially got it, and then we canceled it because we were moving so much. We were traveling all the time, and we didn't think that it would be a good idea. And then we bought it again, and I think we've had it now for it's been at least 7 months or so, and we watch a lot of TV and movies on there. And again, there's a lot of new stuff that comes on there that I don't. It's nice. I mean, we have Netflix through our T-Mobile, and we have Prime, Amazon Prime, through our Amazon account. And between the TV service that he offers and those two accounts, they're all equal. We watch them equally. And sometimes, especially on TV series, if we get into a TV series like Ted Lasso, I mean, I binge watched, all 2 seasons through there, and I couldn't watch it any other way because I think that was an Apple TV thing, and I don't have any Apple devices. And I'm pretty sure that was an Apple Plus, but that's on the TV service. The other thing is if you are on the fence or still need direction for cellular connections, I mean, again, it's those are all options he has. When I first talked with Jesse, the very first time I dealt with him, I called up and I said, "Listen, I think I want to go with your setup because yours was the cheapest compared to, I think I was trying to get with another company, and
We're getting
I don't know how
spammed
many,
here. We're getting spammed here. Can we get a
oh,
kick on somebody or something?
oh yeah, yeah, how nice is that? I got it. Block user on YouTube. Okay. So
Yeah,
we get that
it's
a
going to
lot.
happen, right?
Yeah, we get that a lot. So the whole idea was I tried to go through another company, and the response was horrible. Everything about it was just horrible, and they weren't even getting my money at the time, and it was just horrible. So I had called and got hold of Jesse, and I'm like amazed that, first of all, he's domestic, and that I can understand the words that are coming out of his mouth perfectly clear, and it's in English. And although outsourcing's fine, I don't have a problem with it. It's just the amount of communication that I was trying to do with them. They were way off beat. They just were way off beat. Then whenever I told them what plan I wanted, they just flat, "Oh yeah, that plan's not available." Well, I literally just got off their website. I mean, it was advertised there. They said, "Yeah, that's not available." So I was fine with that. I mean, again, there's something else. But whenever I called, I backed out of that. And whenever I called Jesse, the phone got answered right away. He was really knowledgeable. He was giving me all the answers that I needed. And then he got me all of the system that I needed for, again, you guys know I have that WeBoost. And I was concerned that if we were going to get somewhere really remote, that I need to put up that antenna. And here to come to find out that he has access to all that stuff. So he sent me
And
cable,
that's not even really what you want for internet service anyway.
yeah,
But
exactly. Which again, something that I didn't realize, that if you have if you aren't, as long as you're not out somewhere really desolate, way far away from the cell towers, the WeBoost antenna is not needed. It's just not needed. Not with the routers that I've gotten from him. You guys, I mean, I've been talking about it every video that we go to a place. I haven't had out our WeBoost antenna. When's the last time that we put up that antenna, Heidi?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know because it's been so long.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So,
well, to nerd out, Mike, to nerd out for you.
Yeah.
We can nerd out on that one for a minute if you want. A WeBoost, and don't get me wrong, Wilson and WeBoost, in my opinion, they're the best company. I love them. I've been a dealer of theirs for 20, 25 years, maybe. I'm also a dealer of SureCall. But anyway, point is, overall speaking, to dumb it down to its most simplest thing, a booster like that is meant for cell phones. It will help with internet, but that's not what it's meant for. And the main reason why is you go back, and again, this is where we're going to nerd out. You go back to the bands that the towers are broadcasting in. Every tower is broadcasting in multiple frequency bands, or we just call them bands for short. Any of those bands is going to work for a phone call or a text or whatever. That's not using data. But when it comes to data, each one of those bands is like a lane on the highway, or maybe you take it a step further and say a different road, where some are going to be congested full of cars and others are going to be smooth sailing. Well, the problem is AT&T alone has, without counting them, 8 or 10 different bands. And Verizon has 5 or 6, and T-Mobile, blah, 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 blah. And some of them are shared bands. So like, for example, 2 and 12, and a couple of them are shared between the carriers. In this area, this carrier is going to use it. In that area, this carrier is going to use it, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the point is, when they make a booster like that, they're expensive anyway, but to try to keep the cost down as much as possible, they're taking the top 5 or maybe 6 bands, which realistically in any given area you're going to be in might be 1 or 2 for AT&T, 1 or 2 for Verizon, 1, et cetera. So while it's always going to help a cell phone for texts or phone calls or whatever, it may or may not help the internet service depending on if it is amplifying one of the bands that you actually need. And that's where we got into, I think we did this with you, Mike. I can't remember. We've done so much different stuff. But I know I've done it for other customers. I've explained this exact same thing. And I said, what you really want is just an antenna, either a directional or an omnidirectional. You put it outside on your ladder, on a pole, whatever it is, but no amplifier. So now it's an antenna getting all frequencies, all bands. You're going from the human ear to the elephant ear, and you can get anything you want. Now, the thing is with an antenna like that, it's so much cheaper. I mean, you're talking your cheapest booster starts in the $500-$600 range, and to get something decent, you're up $1,000-$1,200. Whereas with an antenna kit, with a cable and an adapter and shipping and everything, we charge $135. Now, the thing is, with an antenna, it is always going to help your internet service, but it's never going to help your cell phones, with the exception, as everybody is getting to know now, you have Wi-Fi calling. Well, if your internet's better and you're on Wi-Fi calling, then so is your phone.
Yeah. I can't believe how fast everything moved just in the last year from when we first started. And I had a hard time whenever even though you have the information and you're telling me the correct information, I still have a hard time believing information. So I'm coming up with my own conclusions, and I'm like, well, if this thing has quad antennas on it, and 2 of them are for one channel and 2 are for the other channel. You know what? If they're short and they're small, what if I just put one big one on there and it's boosted and all that? And then I tried it just omnidirectional, and I come to find out that all I need to do is just sometimes I need to put it in a different.
Put it in a window, right? Because those big paddle antennas, it might not be the elephant ear, but it's not the human ear. It's more like maybe the dog ear, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly. Well, like I said, it was an eye opener, and just to give you guys an idea, um, we're outside of Orlando. We're in Kissimmee today, and our T-Mobile is pretty decent on our phones, but we have AT&T through Jesse through one of the routers that he's got here, the big MoFi 5500 router. Well, our TV is streaming, I think, through Starlink. Heidi is on her computer through Starlink. Her phone is on T-Mobile 4G, and she's streaming her live feed through the phone, but she's communicating through her laptop. And then for me, I'm on the EZCOM, and all this can be done pretty much anywhere. That the whole idea is that all this data, which is just, I mean, tons. We're streaming so much data. All of that's happening because of Jesse and his company and what they have to offer, and it's nothing more than buying hardware and then paying for service. And everybody, the main thing that I think everybody has a problem with, including myself, is just not knowing and not feeling comfortable. So that's kind of why Jesse's on here, is putting, first of all, to answer all of the questions you may have, because it's my question was, I don't understand, why am I not, if this is like, for example, I have an AT&T system, why would I just go to AT&T and buy it? And then whenever you look at the numbers that AT&T offers, like, oh my God, how could they, I can't afford, that's way too much. And then Jesse's offering, as far as the amount of data that I get, that I use, I'm like, how in the world does that even work? And, it's just a matter of being a third party setup. A lot of people have, I think that has a negative connotation to it that shouldn't. It's just, whenever you hear reseller or third party, everybody starts thinking used cars, pre-owned.
Yeah. Why do we give this guy money? Why don't we go direct?
Middleman. That's all they're thinking about. And the thing is there's a level of service, and you don't want that hassle of getting and trying to work around or go direct. If you go direct with AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon, you're never going to be able to fulfill what you want if you're trying to do anything like we do. And that's all of our entertainment, all our communication, and everything.
Well, first of all, you can't even get it. You can't. It's not offered. You cannot even get it. But even if you could, I mean, I don't personally enjoy talking to customer support from the Philippines. Now, I got nothing wrong with Philippines. Love them.
Yes. Right.
Don't really want them doing my customer support, to be honest.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah. And I think somebody had asked earlier, Jesse's located mainly out of Kansas.
Oh, hey, there's Amy Jones. I recognize her. Hello.
So all of the information, all of the communication and everything, Kansas. You're talking about, from the East Coast to, we got an hour difference or 2 hours maybe. But other than that, you're getting people. You're getting, a lot of times I got Jesse on the phone. But you also have a gentleman. I know that I didn't even realize he was over.
You're talking about Doobie, my star technical associate and very, very good friend. Very, very good. I mean, we've met in person and hung out, but yes, he is actually in Croatia.
And I had no idea. Whenever we called in, I just figured Jesse had a new guy sitting at a desk near him or something.
Nope. And that's the magic of the internet. That's also why he can be online helping people at 6 a.m. And that's the afternoon for him.
Yeah, that was the case. It was real. If I'm not mistaken, it was really late in the evening, I think, or it was a real weird time. And I don't remember why we called him, but I had no idea. I'm like, oh, cool. This is awesome.
Yeah. Between he and I, we're generally online about 16 to 18 hours a day, honestly, between he and I. And of course, with exceptions. But anyway, Yeah, great guy. Just a moment on Doobie. He does have a little bit of an accent, as you can tell, but it's not bad.
Barely. Yeah, barely.
And we actually met a couple years ago on a video game, and we got to be best friends. Or when I went over to Italy, he actually took a couple days off and rented a car and came up and spent a day or two hanging out with me. And at that point in time, I decided, hey, why don't you come work for me? You know, so yeah, there it is.
Yeah, the TV streaming service. I just seen somebody talking about TV. The TV streaming service. You know, I wonder how long it would take me to show all the channels and all the offerings and everything that's available there, because
Well, that depends on
there's a
how
lot.
long we can do the math there. That depends on how long you want to spend.
Yeah,
We got about
yeah, right.
9,000 live channels, so
Yeah, and
at
the
one
movies. How many movies was there last?
we're down a little bit at the moment. There's some reformatting going on, but currently we're down to about 22,000 movies,
Yes.
and somewhere around the 3,000 mark for TV series. And of course, that means, you know, each show, not each episode. You know, if you come to episodes, you're into the tens of thousands. And
Yeah.
one other thing, I saw Carla and Ken there.
Yeah.
We addressed this at the beginning, but this is worth saying again. I am not, as of right now, and if you see this video in an archive, at the time of this airing, I am not a Starlink dealer. Now, that being said, there is some paperwork in and some things are being worked out. That was supposed to happen last December, but for various things we won't go into, there's been some delays and such. So as we're sitting right now, I am helping some people with some things. And the intention is when that paperwork finishes going through, then all of that will be swept in and get easier and cheaper and etc. But for now, that's not what's happening.
Yeah, the whole idea behind Starlink in general is, and I think everybody knows this, or they should know it. We're relying on communication through cell towers that's been, you know, keeps on every year. You know, remember back it was 2G, then 3G, 4G, 5G, and who knows whatever they're going to now, if they're even going to get there. And the fact that our satellite communication, see, I'm trying to think how to put it in a way that, okay, let's put it in a real simple. I shouldn't say simple, but an analogy. Whenever we first got our 2019 F-250, I bought that 6.2 gas engine, and that gas engine had been out since 2010. They started putting it in F-150s, and then after that, they started putting it in F-250s. And this is now, at this point, you know, 2019, whenever we ordered ours. And we ordered the 6.2 gas because we wanted a gas engine. That was the only gas engine offering that they had. Everybody started talking about this 7.3 liter gas engine that was going to come out in 2020 and the 10-speed transmission that was going to be behind it. And even though that 6.2 gas engine had been available all those years, and it did fine, it was very reliable, and it had, you know, had a pretty good following, and it had been the meat and potatoes of a lot of contractors, you know, that Ford was selling to for all those years. As soon as that 7.3 came out, there was this whole slew of talk and offerings of superchargers and putting them in Mustangs and buying them as crate engines already, you know, direct from Ford. They weren't even put into trucks. They were assembling them, and you could buy the engine outright or the transmission outright. All that happened in just 1 year's time. So I jumped on that engine based on that. We all know how good cell service has been all these years, and everybody's been doing it's been just fine. But as soon as Starlink, as soon as that even got to be a thing on any level, it was all about wait list and people trying to get to it and making it work and trying to get it, because everybody knows that is definitely going to be the new and latest and greatest thing. And that is definitely, it's the future. It is definitely the future. So again, there's nothing wrong with the cellular service and being able to communicate. And basically they've got it as fine tuned as they possibly can have it. And it's up to date. It's just, they're stretching the boundaries of what it can do. And the fact that we're in the infancy of Starlink and what they have to offer, and it is already competing with some of the best cellular data plans that are out there, including the one that I have, especially on download speeds, is just the testimony of, just think what's going to happen in 5 years' time, what it's going to be like. It's going to be unheard of. The amount of communication that we're going to be able to do via satellite, and of course worldwide too. I think at some point it's probably going to be kind of like, this is my guess, I don't know the technology.
Well, we just talked about Doobie over in Croatia.
Yeah.
He can order Starlink right now. Right now, it is live. It is ready to turn on in his country. He doesn't need it. He's got fiber optic to his house, but he could if he wanted to.
I think that and you could tell me if this is technologically possible. I think that this is something that people will eventually hack or do or something. I'd love to see Starlink to where you can skip satellite. You can direct. I can direct to you.
Choose your satellite.
Yeah. No, I mean, not so much that. I could, like, if I wanted to communicate directly with you without going through service, just like ham radio operators.
Oh, you're talking about like a point to point or a private network. I don't want to say VPN. That's not right. It would be a PN, a private network, one-to-one.
Right.
They can do that now. It's not something that's offered to the public and probably won't ever be. But if you want some of those government contracts and whatnot, you're doing that. You're doing that because they want a link from government building A to B and nobody else can touch it. Things like that.
I'm going to pop up a question here. I don't know if you see that.
I was going to say, let's take a moment and answer some of these questions. There's a bunch of them here. Amy, I have a Fire Stick and play a la carte for a lot of channels. Is that what I have to do with your TV service? No, I think is the answer here. Mike, maybe you can help me, but
yes,
our service is an app that you pay for, but our service has all of the other services in it. So Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Disney Plus, Paramount, Peacock, I don't know, the list goes on and on and on. If you're subscribed to any or all of those or any combination thereof, with ours, you can cancel all of that because ours is an all-in-one stop.
Yeah, the one thing that I didn't understand whenever he was telling me about this service initially, he said, "Oh, you got Showtime, you have HBO, you have Cinemax, stuff like that, premium channels." And I thought, well, I don't want to subscribe to all of them. I can do that with my Roku, or I can do that with my Fire Stick. I can, click on HBO. And I can subscribe to HBO, and then I can watch HBO. No, you get that. You can go.
It's included.
Watch. Yeah, it's included. You just, if you want to watch Showtime, you just go to the Showtime and watch it.
You don't have to be scared to touch any channel you want. You are not going to get charged extra. If it's there, it's included, and a lot is there.
Yeah. There's so much. There's so much. Here's a good question.
What do we got here? I turned off your service for Starlink. Can I turn your service back on without buying a new SIM chip from you? So this is a trick question right here. As it's written out, the answer is yes. You don't have to buy a SIM chip from me. I give those away for free. Unfortunately, I think what you're getting at here is, yes, you would have to have a new SIM chip. Once a SIM chip has been activated and deactivated for any reason whatsoever, whether that was terminated by the carrier or you canceled it or I canceled somebody for non-payment, which is not what happened here, just so everybody knows, but occasionally that happens to somebody. Anyway, the point is that SIM chip is no longer good anymore. It's trash. You can just immediately, if it's been turned off, it's trash. You do have to have a new SIM. However, depending on the situation, we work with people on that quite a bit, especially like it's been quite a while since this happened, but we've been the victim of some shenanigans from the carriers as well, and we've had to suddenly ship out 30 new chips to people. Well, that's not their fault. We'll cover that. In your case, if you turned off the service and you want to rejoin us, we'd love to have you back. Actually, you know what? For anybody that's done that, maybe we could do some little special here through Mike's channel or something.
Something in the works.
Yeah, Mike will post something. We'll discuss that. We'll have some sort of little something going on for you. We'd love to have you back. Now, that brings up something I was thinking about earlier while you were talking, Mike, about you've got this going through your hotspot, and you've got this going through my AT&T MoFi router, and you've got this going through Starlink and whatnot. And I think somebody asked, well, can't you do all that with one thing?
Yeah, we could.
But I think where you're going with
upload.
Well, not only that, is we're doing a live stream here. We're trying to not buffer. We're trying to stay on top of these spammers here that want to shake their booty or whatever it is. You might as well spread the wealth around. Now, that being said, we got something new for you, Mike. We might, if you're keeping some of these things, I don't think we've discussed this yet, but we can link them together where your Starlink goes into your MoFi and they bond the AT&T and the Starlink together, or you can do failover. There's all kinds of things we can do with you.
Well, I like it separate right now. It just makes it it keeps it simple in my mind. That's for sure. Let's see. There's Stephanie. She had a question about something.
Can EZCOM be used for residential internet? Cable, Wi-Fi, I presume you mean, is getting ridiculous. The simple answer is yes. Probably, oh gosh, it's hard to tell. I would say at least 20% of our customers are doing exactly what you're talking about. Now, that's if we're talking about internet, which is what you asked about here. Yes, we can do it. The problem is, in most cases, we are not, generally speaking, cheaper than your local in the city cable connection. Now, there's where you have to make a judgment call. They may be cheaper, but if it's so slow you can't do anything with it, then maybe we're the better solution because we can do more for you. Now, the flip side of that is the TV service. I'll throw my TV service up against anybody's any day. I used to work for DirecTV. I've worked for Dish Network. I've worked for HughesNet. I've worked for Viasat. I've done all of them. I can hook any of those up in my sleep. Been there, done that. I haven't worked for a cable company. Of course, I don't plan to. But some of you may remember, Mike, you're going to like this one. The old Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life. At this point in time, anytime I can get anybody off of DirecTV or Dish Network, an angel gets its wings.
Have to make some sort of login sound that does that. Like the bartenders, whenever they get a tip, they got to ring a bell or something.
Something, right.
Every time you get a conversion, you should have some sort of special chime.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who's this? Scott P. There's one for you.
All right, let's see. Sorry I came in late here, but I do need to purchase Starlink do I need to purchase Starlink to take advantage of your service, or is it something separate? We are so flexible, it's not even funny. You can absolutely have an entire package bundled together, or you can have one piece, or you can have a couple of pieces, or I'm not trying to force anybody to, if you want this, you have to take this also. We do, of course, love to bundle things, but you do not have to. So the answer to your question is, it sounds like you have, I'm guessing here, it sounds like maybe you have some internet, but maybe you're wanting the TV service. Yes, you can do that by itself. Absolutely.
Yeah, again, the TV service was something initially. Listen, you gotta put it in perspective. If you sit and watch TV and you like to watch TV, then yes, the TV service. Whenever we are stationary as much as we are now, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. But whenever we're moving a lot, that's something entirely different. So I think you guys got to think about what you're doing, how you're traveling. And I think for the most part, most of us, even us, traveling as much as we do, I mean, hell, we're sitting, 2-3 weeks at a time. And I want to watch, there's some series that I can't wait, for example, for Ted Lasso, whenever that next season comes out, which is going to be later this year. I don't know why. I kind of got hooked
The
on
Orville just started again last night, if you like
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. So the whole idea behind our our addiction to the television, it's definitely satisfied. There's tons and tons of stuff. Listen, we've had Sling TV. We had the whatever, the blue plan, and then the red plan or whatever. And then we had the blue and red, and we tried that for a while. We have some sort of a free thing through Paramount. Most of the stuff is available though on Jesse's service.
Well, here's a
T-Mobile
comment.
offering. Go ahead.
Here's a comment from Amy that's talking about Hulu Live is $75. I didn't know that,
Yeah.
actually. I know YouTube TV, I think they just went up. Aren't they like 89 now or something?
Yeah, I tried them briefly, and it's like, what?
And
That's
Netflix went up to $20 a month now. When I started, it was $6.99. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It's gotten really, really bad. I don't think that I could possibly get back into the whole cable game. The whole, even like you said, when we left our house, we lived, Northeast Ohio, where we lived. It was low cost, low rent, basically, to live in that part of Ohio. That's why so many people live in Ohio. It's pretty cheap to live up there. And our service with updated internet speeds, I think we were paying $129 a month. But that's no cable, no nothing, no cable.
there's internet only.
That was just internet only. And if we were
And how
to add
fast was it?
channels, it was only 115 down, I think was the highest they ever got. And the upload never got above 30. What's that?
For the time, it did real well for us. We never had trouble back in the day.
Right. That was a while ago. Yeah, I don't think that well, again, Heidi's mom only lived less than a mile from us as the crow flies, and she's paying for a decent amount of channels, and her slow internet is $300 a month. And it's just like ridiculous.
So I just installed my son. He goes out with me every time we do a Starlink install. And by the way, I don't have to do the install, but I'm getting a lot of calls from my local area. Word is spreading fast that, hey, I don't want to do this. Can you come out and do it? Yeah, let's do it. Well, anyway, we just did one today. And he was another one. An angel got its wings today, by the way. We got him off of DirecTV. His DirecTV bill, by the way, the national average for a DirecTV bill is $130 a month. His was, I'm trying to remember. It was something just shy of the $200 mark. Because he was doing some of these sports stuff too, which again is included. My son and I are big Royals fans. We watch Royals all the time on our own service. But then he also had, one of these local WISP, which WISP, by the way, is a fixed wireless. It's wireless internet service provider. Technically, it comes from generally the cell phone towers, sometimes water towers, but it's a non-movable service. It's not like cellular. Anyway, he had that, and he said on the absolute best of good days, we're talking 20 megs, but usually it's like 4. So yeah, we got him. In this case, he had ordered his own Starlink. He had waited his turn in line. It had been 18 months, and he finally got it. So we put that up and hooked him up with one of our TV recording boxes and a Fire Stick for the other TV and our TV service. And I'm sure him and his wife are probably still perusing channels and will be for hours. They were quite impressed. And I guess overall, I think that the bill went down. Oh God, between everything he had, he was almost $400. And I think we got him to around the 150-ish mark, something like that.
Yeah, definitely much more better offerings for a lot less.
Can I get Paramount with this service? It won't work for me without Strange New Worlds. For some reason, Paramount doesn't like it. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Simple answer. Yes.
There you go, Herbie. Yeah, the Paramount, T-Mobile did something. Why do we have free Paramount? And it's only Paramount Plus for a year, right? Yeah.
Is that because you went with like that latest, greatest, highest T-Mobile plan or whatever?
No. They just occasionally just throw stuff at us, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll sign up for it. Of course, I have to cancel within a year. If not, I start paying the normal rate for it back, whenever that happens.
I think I went for the Netflix. I don't use Netflix. My dad really likes it. I mean, he's 86 years old, whatever. He wants Netflix, so he's going to have Netflix. Fine. Right. So, right. What is the wait time to get Starlink? Okay, so that depends. If you're getting, if you're in a house, we did go over this earlier, right? Yeah, if you're in a house, and that's the only place you're ever going to use it, it's not going to be mobile, anything else, and you want that top tier, high priority plan. Now, depending on where you're at, actually, there are a few little places in the U.S. with no waiting, but for the majority of more than 50% of the country, even more than that, probably 65. Anyway, point is, anywhere from a year to 2 years, 12, 18, 24 months. It depends. And there is no guaranteed date. They'll tell you, oh, we think it might be first quarter of 2023, etc. Now, the opposite end of that spectrum is the RV plan, which anybody can get, and you can get it right now. However, it is the lowest. I hate to use bottom of the barrel. That's not quite what I mean. It's as low as you can get. You get internet if everybody else has been taken care of. You kind of get the leftovers. You're the lowest of the low priority. You get what's left. Now, there is a third option, which we talked about earlier, that I've been helping people with, and I'm trying to, of course, have people bundle up with the TV service with it. That is a hybrid between the two services. So if you're in an area that's on one of these huge wait lists, I can help you get that and be like a medium. Yes, it's going to be below that. That I call it static residential. It doesn't mean you have a static IP. It just means that's the only place you use it. And it's lower than that. They've waited their turn. They've put in their time of whatever. But it's not the RV plan either. You are going to be one of those people that gets stuff before the RV people do. So it's the middle tier, if you will. And yes, you can get that right now as well. So the answer to your question is it depends on how you want to get it.
He said he's in North Carolina. I don't know if that makes a difference.
I mean, without switching screens here, I could take a look. But North Carolina is pretty doggone full. You are probably going to be waitlisted unless you go RV or unless I help you out.
He says 6 months at home and 6 months on the road.
Not a problem. With this third option plan I'm talking about, you're actually allowed to use it anywhere in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The caveat, though, is if you go to Canada or Mexico and you stay for 3 months and 1 day or more at one given point in time, they will want you to change to a Canada or Mexico plan, which, as far as I can tell, only means you start paying in pesos. I don't think there's another difference, but maybe there is.
Change the exchange rate.
Right. Or Canadian dollars or whatever, course, the opposite's going to be true. As soon as you come back and you're 3 months and 1 day in the U.S., then bam, you're back on dollars again. Now, for people that just cross the border once in a while and spend a couple weeks or a couple of days or a couple of months, or as long as you don't go over that 3-month mark, basically, you're fine.
I wonder why I've been sitting here talking about housekeeping, starting to look at housekeeping stuff. The whole idea behind the live stream here was to let everybody build up as far as view. For some reason we stuck it right at 39, and I wonder if there's some sort of a buffer on there that don't allow any more live streams than that.
I don't know. On my other screen here, I'm seeing 36 from a not logged in public account.
Yeah, mine says RV Daydream YouTube. There's 36, and on our Facebook, there's 2.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some kind of, because usually about now we have 150, 180 people. It's usually about the neighborhood that we're at. I wonder if there's some kind of a buffer there.
Is there a big ball game going on tonight? Maybe we're competing with the NFL. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. So what
or
else?
Maybe nobody wants to talk to us about them.
Yeah, maybe meet some bones. So I guess what we need to make sure that you guys take away from this, because I know that people will be watching this live chat long after it's already been done, and that is everybody's going to have their own needs. We need to give you what they used to call, back when I used to work in ISO 9000 internal auditor, we had a system that was just referred to as SPOC. It was a Chrysler system, SPOC. Anyways, single point of contact. And EZCOM is your single point of contact. Just let them know what you're trying to do. Let them know what the whatever your worries are, I guess. I don't know if there's anything specific that I see come across or that I get asked a lot. I think a lot of times when I mention to people how we do internet, we kind of get a blank. And there's nothing wrong
I know.
with that.
I've got one.
If
I may, I've actually got one that I get asked a lot. And this has to do with the MoFi that you're using. Why should I buy this? Why can't I just buy the cheap one? Why can't I do that? Features, the way it's built. Anybody can go out and buy a Kia. It's going to be a whole lot different than a Cadillac. What I mean by that is there are things that one can do that the other just simply can't even think about doing. Here's one example and one of the ways that we get higher speeds out to people. Going back to what we talked about earlier with bands. Every tower broadcasts multiple bands, usually at least 3, sometimes 5. And that's every carrier, every tower. Well, most routers, especially the cheap ones, and actually even most phones and devices, they generally speaking, there are exceptions to everything, of course, got it. Don't blast me, but they can use any of those, but they can only use one at a time. So you have the choice of picking between mediocre, slow, not great, etc. Well, with some routers, and the MoFi being one of them, it can combine up to 5 of those together. So now if we add together mediocre, not so great, slow, and whatever, well, now we have extremely usable. Or even maybe somewhat nice, So the difference it's not just the service you get. It's not just the signal you get. It's also the equipment you get. There are so many different variables, which leads into the absolute number one, top of the list question I ever get. And that is, well, if I give you my address, can you tell me which one I should use? No, I can't. Everything's different. How many hills do you have? How many people are in the area? And of those people, how many are using Verizon versus T-Mobile? No, we can guide you through that. There it goes again, by the way.
Yeah. I got it.
We can guide you through that. And even if we pick one and it's not maybe necessarily the best for you, we can work on switching to another that is going to work better. The point that I'm trying to get across here is we are trying to be very flexible and very helpful. We're here for you.
Yeah, you guys, again, look at it from a perspective of I'm getting ready to hit the road and I want to have internet. Definitely, I need to have internet. We did a little bit of research on our end, and there was only a few companies that I even felt comfortable talking to. And the ones that I did, it was just horrible. It was a horrible experience before we even started. So whenever we got hold of Jesse, it was kind of like one of those, I found a diamond in the rough. And ever since then, think about, we have uploaded probably 300 videos. We have done, I don't know how many 8-hour, 7-hour, 6-hour live chats. We've watched hours and hours and hours of TV, and all of that was done with the with what Jesse told us to have. There's going to be a little bit of a leap of faith on some level that you're going to think, oh, I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable. It seems like I'm looking at one and it looks like it's this price. Why would this one be a little bit different? And it's there's a leap of faith that's going to be involved, and we're trying to let you know that it can just give him a call, just let him know what you're trying to do, and see if he's got an option that sounds good to you. I'm going to tell you though, from a practical standpoint on our end, being on the road as long as we have, this I can't imagine it doing it any other way. We tried to do it through our cell phones and
Thank you.
actually use them as hotspots. We tried to use a dedicated hotspot from T-Mobile. We actually bought a Verizon hotspot at one point through Verizon. We tried to do it that way, and nothing was working. There was no clear answer. And whenever I was looking at what Jesse was offering, I'm like, this doesn't sound right. I mean, I was trying to do it through T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T directly. I was trying to do that, and it is not something that I could do any other way other than with him. And again, whenever I first signed up, I'm like, I don't know this. I just have to try it, and it was working, and it kept on working, and it's continued to work. Now we've made some changes, as time's gone on, just because he's at the mercy of what some of these other companies do as far as, I'm getting off topic of Starlink, but on the cellular side of things. But yeah, definitely, you want to look into talking with them and getting options thrown at you until you hear one that seems to make sense. I'm going to go through here and look for some messages. What do we have up there now?
So we had a question pop up here. I didn't see who asked that, but I'd have to stroll back here to see it. But anyway, there it is, Don. There are a lot of you were being nice by calling it a gray plan. Ours is legal. To answer that question, ours is legal. There are a lot out there that are gray, or there's a lot of other words I could use. When I first started doing research on this, and I went through a couple of those. They're pretty easy to spot. There'll be ones where many of the channels, the mouth moves and the voice comes seconds later, or they're just not well taken care of. Ours are based in data centers like Dallas. One of our big data centers is in Dallas, and it's got a 24-hour crew. And that's not to say we don't screw up once in a while. There may be a channel that blah, 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 but we have a team constantly monitoring this and going through things. So look around if you'd like to. Do it before you come to us. You're going to find ours to be much, much better. Once you get to me, you're never going to want to. It just works. Better quality, more HD, legal. Yes. All of those things. Let's see. My awesome wife wants to know, can she use this system while we are going down the road, or do we have to be stationary? Hey, that's actually a great question. So the official, and I presume you're talking about Starlink. If not, hang on, I'll answer that in a minute. If you're talking about Starlink, the official answer is no. Don't do it. Not going to work. Now, that being said, there are some videos and things out there of people barreling down the interstate at 70 miles an hour with their Starlink duct taped to the top of their car and blah, blah, blah. Apparently, it does work. It's not recommended. It's absolutely not supported. And honestly, probably not that smart because, man, with a $700 system, if you hit a branch or something, you're going to be sorry. Now, that being said, on the other hand, cellular systems, absolutely yes. In fact, in my RV, I have the same router, same AT&T thing that Mike has, and mine is hooked into the electrical system permanently. So when I'm driving down the road, I have an iPad that does not have cellular service, so it's actually hooked on to my Wi-Fi that's bolted on behind the couch. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, and that's what's doing my maps and gas stations and whatever else I need to do. So cellular, absolutely yes. Starlink, not at the moment, but that is coming in the future. Just officially not yet. I have a horrible carrier and no high speed at all. We will be looking at something. I'd love to help you out. Please give me a call. We'll talk about it. What about the NFL, Darren? I've been wanting to answer this question. Sports, we got it. So if you are familiar with DirecTV, which most people are, they had the NFL Sunday Ticket. We got that.
You got to understand what he just said. He has it. It doesn't mean you subscribe to it. It doesn't mean he gives you access in an app that you click on and you sign up for it. It means you click on the game you want to watch.
Period.
That's it.
Turn it on. We also have the same thing with baseball, basketball, football, hockey, NASCAR. I'm going to pick on NASCAR for a minute. If you like NASCAR, not only do we have like half a dozen different channels playing the game with the commentary of whoever from whatever area, but we also have, generally speaking, one channel dedicated to each driver. So if you have a favorite driver, you can watch his helmet cam and listen to him talk to his pit crew. There's all the way down to water polo. I mean, if you want to watch curling out of England, put on BBC 4.5 or I don't know, whatever, yes, we have the sports. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was really, really nice. Some of those NFL games that I wanted to watch, I think it was last year. And I was going through the routine. That's, you know what? Now
and even a couple of them that you didn't really want to watch.
Right. But that's what after the fact, I thought, God, I wish I didn't even see that. But that's the reason. That was definitely the reason. Heidi she'll clear that up. Wasn't that the reason that I had called?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And that was after having it and then deciding I don't really want to watch anymore. We're moving too much. And we got stationary and I started watching some NFL games. And I had to jump through so many hoops. And so it's trial subscription with this company and then cancel within 7 days. And then for another game. What was that?
Every week was a different one.
Yeah. We had
and sometimes they didn't work.
Yeah. We had 5 different subscriptions that we were adding on, and then after the game we would cancel, and we still had service for like the next 5 days or the next 3 days. Yeah, I have to. Here, this is what it sounds like when I don't. So, if we, you hear what I'm saying?
I'm not sure. Are you talking to me, buddy?
No, I was talking to Heidi.
Okay.
She was asking about muting because I have to mute her microphone until she starts talking just because of feedback. So if we wanted to watch those games, we were going through all these different subscriptions and jumping because everybody had the rights to certain games and people didn't. and so certain broadcast companies couldn't show the game. So even though the playoff, was here, the first game of the other divisions playoff was somewhere else, and it was just a nightmare. So that's whenever I said, "Hey, we got to sign back up for this service again." And it was nice. NFL Ticket. Actually, the funny part is not only could we watch it on NFL Ticket, but we could go to the local news stations
Good
and
point.
whatever state we wanted to choose from. So
Good
if
point.
the Bears were on, we'd just go look at a Chicago affiliate and click on there and watch it there. And the reason that I say that is, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. Sometimes there might be a lag or something that's going on with one of the channels that.
But you have other options.
Yeah, we have other options to go to. And like Jesse had said, occasionally we would have we'd have and you know what? I think that had to do with, in our case, where we were at the time. And I forgot.
That might have been.
My bad. It was a span.
Because I was going to mention that we recommend an absolute minimum of 20 meg service. For everything. Occasionally you can get along with 10 megs, but realistically we're trying to push you having 20 or better, to stream without yelling at me. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, we watched everything. We watched everything we wanted to watch. It was, again, there's a part, and this will go against the grain 100% as far as the TV service of what we're talking about here. We had to reevaluate what we were doing when we were moving as much as we were, and realize we weren't watching. We couldn't watch a lot of TV, and we didn't really want to watch a lot of TV because we were trying to explore more. But as soon as we knew we were going to be stationary, especially through winter, we got to Florida, we got to Vero Beach in November. It was like second nature. Oh, I need to get this. I need to have this service for sure. I've got to have it because we watch so much TV whenever we're stopped and we're actually in. We start living in the RV and living in the area instead of traveling to an area and exploring the area and maybe staying just for a few nights. We were actually going to live in an area for a long period of time. So if you guys are, and a lot of you are, a lot of our subscribers are living through us vicariously through their, hanging out at their house and watching what we're doing in our videos. There's no, I'm sure you're watching a lot of TV when you're not watching YouTube, and there's nothing wrong with going with any of this stuff that we talked about tonight for home. It can be used at home, just like you would if you're
actually,
in your RV.
believe it or not, Mike, that's where the majority of my new customers currently, we go through trends, but the majority right now, I think the word is spreading around because, people in town that have fiber or, high end cable or whatever, they're like, can I get just your TV service? I'm like, heck yeah, you can. Absolutely. Let's do it. And that's the way to do it. I mean, replace that cable or direct TV or whatever.
We neglected, or I should say we didn't neglect. We put it up a couple times. I think we pinned it actually. If you can, so Jesse knows where this is coming from. Either use the link or just when you call them, just say, hey, RV Daydream. Mm-hmm. We saw the live chat, RV Daydream. That way, Jesse knows where it's coming from. And a lot of times that gives you a head start, too, as far as him navigating on what you may want. He knows, RV Daydream must be somebody that either watches a lot of YouTube or is traveling themselves. So
I don't know, Mike. I get a bunch of people here. You've been stroking my ego all night. Now it's your turn. But I get a lot of people that says, I don't really like to watch YouTube too much at all. But that Mike guy has nothing but good things to say. He says I need to talk to you. So
yeah. If we run into somebody that or something or products also in general, it's so hard to say it without coming across as some sort of a sales pitch. But the whole idea was, when we first started, we literally was just typing in Google, what internet for RV, and just looking and trying to figure it out. And it took us going through, and unfortunately finding out the hard way that we weren't supposed to be going AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon Direct. It took us a while to figure that out. And then we started going through, kissing the frogs to find the prince. And it's like, man, some of these places were
Love it.
horrible. They were really bad. And I was like, this doesn't make, I mean, the communication was horrible right off the bat. And I thought, if I have a problem, I don't even know what to do once I get to that point. So again, we waded in lightly with Jesse initially. I remember we got just a little small plan, and it worked really well. We expanded into another plan on top of that. I know we were running 2 plans at the same time because it was just kind of a weird situation for us, what we were trying to do. Again, you got to remember that we operate on we got to be approaching at least almost a terabyte in a month's time. Well, probably not. Now that I think about it, we're probably below that. I'm guessing we're probably 800 gigabytes a month.
I haven't been paying attention to you. I generally
Yeah.
don't unless I get some mean message or something, but which I don't get from you. So, and I don't get from AT&T about you either. So
yeah, that's good. So maybe we're not doing as much as what we think we are, but it sure seems like it. I mean, we get up in the morning, we'll turn on the TV and just start watching. Of course, that'll be a little bit less now that the depth herd trial is over with. We were streaming a lot of that every day. that was fun. So yeah, again, it's not a thing that you're going to feel comfortable doing, and we want to just make sure you have the resource. And we had already waded through all the crap to find this, and we've been using it for a long time. So that's it. Just sharing what we already know and what works. Your mileage is going to vary. I mean, whatever you're doing and however you want to do it and wherever you're at, it may be different. It may not, but you've got to try it out. I mean, it's got to be something to try out. And the worst thing that you're going to be involved with there is maybe some equipment, an equipment purchase. Other than that, there is no negative. Jesse, you're not going to have to sign a contract that Jesse says, oh, you're going to pay me a year. And I don't care if you want to opt out early or not.
I wish.
You're still paying me for that. Yeah, right. He's got a lot of, like especially I know the TV. I know he had a trial there for a while. You could try that out if you want to do it.
There is a trial, actually. There is a 24-hour trial of the TV service for $2. You can only do that once. So, be sure you're ready to sit down and actually try it. Otherwise, good Lord, a whole month is $50, and there is no contract. There is no, you can do that and constant.
That's a good question. I like.
Actually, that's a wonderful question. I had been thinking about touching on this anyway. So let's do it. Can you kind of tell me the cost of the TV box, and does it come preloaded? All right. Buckle up.
Yeah.
The cost is $0. Okay. You don't have to buy a box from me. You can have, we where do I even get started with this one, Mike? Okay. We work on so many devices, Fire Sticks, iPhones, Samsung phones, Samsung tablets, iPads, laptops, desktop computers, some smart TVs like Android TVs, Fire TVs, etc. Pretty much the only thing that we are not currently working with and hope to in the future, but not currently, is Roku. Roku is the only one that is not wanting to play ball. So if you have any of the above, you do not have to buy a stick or a box or anything else from us. That being said, you can. We have some boxes here that have enough memory to record 15-ish hours, and you can add memory to it. You can do those. Or we have Fire Sticks. Mainly those are for people that are local to us, or if we're at a show and doing a special, we're sign up and get a free Fire Stick or whatever. but generally speaking, if you're not close to us and you're not at a show, then it's just easier for you to get your own Fire Stick or whatever. We even have a web player, so you can actually go to a www address right on any device, and you can play on our web player. So 0 is the answer, and honestly, comes free, generally speaking, if you meet us at a show and we're doing a special. Now, that being said, I wanted to actually touch on this for a second. That goes back to our earlier question of, is this legal or is it a gray? One of the questions we get sometimes is, well, how can you possibly give us all this for so cheap? All right, well, this goes back to when I worked with DirecTV and Dish Network, etc. Understand that if you go and you sign up for DirecTV or Dish Network, first of all, they're going to promise you the moon. Be careful. But what's happening here is you're signing a 2-year agreement, which we don't do, but they're also giving you X number of boxes like you're asking about. So, your first box, the Genie that does this recording and stuff, it's that is a $350 box. You may not know that. Every other one that goes and everything else is anywhere from $100 to $200, depending on the type of box. Then you've got the dish. The dish is another $150. Then you've got the labor they have to pay me or whoever to come out and put that dish in and aim it up and everything else. And cabling, materials, insurance, gasoline, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, point is to get the average customer in, it's anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500. Well, let's go on the low end of that. That's why they are making you sign that contract for 2 years. If you take that $1,200 worth of equipment and divide it over 2 years, well, there's $50 of your flipping bill right there. Now, on top of that, upselling, profit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we're not dealing with any of that. No need for contracts, no need for equipment, no need for us to come out and do labor, nothing. Just the service. There you go. That's how we're doing it.
Yeah, that was something initially. I'm like, this don't really look. This don't seem right. I don't think that this could be possibly the right thing. And I started logging in and looking at it. I'm like, holy cow, this actually does work. It works on everything.
There's another great question. Yes is the simple answer. So it is an app, and depending on whatever you put it on, you can have the app installed on as many things as you want, 100 different things if you want. As far as the live TV goes, you can be watching on up to 4 TVs or devices. Excuse me. It doesn't have to be a TV. It could be, one phone, one iPad, one computer, and one TV. Or it could be 3 TVs and an iPhone or whatever. 4 devices can stream live at one time. And 2 can stream VOD. So that's a total of 6 if you've made the combination there right.
Yeah, what he just referred to, there's 2 different, let's just, for ease of argument and making it a little bit easier to understand, there's 2 apps. 2 services built into one app.
Yeah,
how about it? Yeah. So the one service is your live TV and everything that goes along with that, even though there's channels on the other one, which is kind of a little confusing. And then you have VOD, video on demand. So there's 2 different places that you can go to, and each one is just loaded full of content.
Kevin, yes. Apple TV, yes. All iOS devices, all Android devices, all computers, all laptops. Yes, all covered.
Yeah, and this is something that me and Jesse had talked about initially when I first signed up. Heidi and I were die-hard, year after year after year Roku fans.
Yeah.
And I was concerned. Yeah. I'm like, I really don't want to get into Amazon Fire Sticks, even though we had them in the past. But the whole idea was the Roku. He had told me that, and I know this from something else. They change. They're always changing stuff.
They'll ban something or kick it off, and there's no real good reason. And yeah.
So it's nice that we initially, and to give you an idea, it works with Fire Stick. I mean, the simple, I just saw the other day a banner, a sale banner came up, and it was $20 off for a Fire Stick. So I went ahead and ordered another one for this extra TV that we have in here, and I think it cost everything out the door was like $31. I'm pretty sure it was really
So
inexpensive.
it depends. If you hit a holiday like this last weekend, Memorial Day,
yeah.
Their cheapest brand new one, was like $20 delivered by Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And then they had a refurbished version of that for like 15, I think, or something. But yeah,
which they work great. I mean, we went ahead and we have fire cubes on our thing,
which are nice, by the way. Spend the extra few bucks; those are nice.
Yeah, they do work really well. Of course, that also puts a speaker in your room that you can say the magic word. I'm not going to say it because she'll act up over there. And you can.
I'm almost tempted to say it and see if she picks up, but
I got it. It's only in my ears, so as long as I don't say it. I used to do that on videos to tick people off all the time. In the middle of the video, I would just say, like some other outside,
Love it.
So, is there any other questions? Because I think we're going to start wrapping this up. I know that we threw a lot of information at you. And there's going to be lots of questions that you'll probably come up with after the fact. But you got to remember that there's somebody that you can either chat with or call and talk with whenever you're dealing with Jesse and them.
And you are certainly welcome to ask for me directly. Absolutely, you're welcome to do that. Please be patient. There's only so much of me to go around. That's why I have my tech guy. That's why I have blah, blah, blah. I'm willing to do that as long as you're willing to be a little bit patient with me.
Yep. Always got a good answer. I've never had. And here's the best part, I think, talking with Jesse. You're going to get an answer whether you like it or not. And it'll be the right answer. You may not like it, but it'll be the right answer. He won't say, oh, hey, listen, yeah, that'll work. We should be able to make that work for you or something like that. He'll say, listen, there's just no way this is going to continue. Things have changed and you need to go in a new direction. I know that we had an initial amount of people that had signed up with Jesse on plans that without any doing on his end, AT&T decided to start screwing people over, and he just had to deal with it. And it didn't make anybody happy, but the very first thing he wanted to do is contact every one of those people and let them know what was going on.
And get them out a new freaking line. Yeah,
immediately. Now, any other company would have probably just said, well, let's go ahead and push the button and cancel all their service, and we'll deal with them when they call in. We'll let them know at that point in time. And it wasn't that at all.
Yeah, we really do try to be very proactive with that. Very fortunately, those problems are now very few and far between. Cross fingers, knock on wood, whatever. But when and if something does happen, we get ahead of it very quickly. That's true. Yes, absolutely. The dual player is, we originally programmed that specifically for the Fire Stick. But that same file will go on any Android device, whether it be an Android TV, a Galaxy phone, Android tablet, whatever. Yes. And in fact, actually, I got to double check with my tech guy, but I'm pretty sure we just released a new dual player for both Windows computers and Mac. What am I trying to say here, Mike?
Air.
Yeah. Mac Air, Mac Pro. Yes, Mac computers as well. And actually, I believe even a Linux version. Not the
love the new. It was okay before. There was a little bit of clunkiness to it. Man, the new player is so much nice. Oh, you can see it so much easier. It loads. Mm-hmm. It looks like it loads faster as far as
it was streamlined. We went back to the programmers and said, "Hey, this, fix it, go." And
it's nice. It's a lot better than what when I first got it, I'm like, wait a minute, this don't make any sense, and I would have to back out of it, and it didn't. I couldn't read it that well. And the new one's like, oh, this is so pleasant. It is so nice. So you guys won't ever have to experience that because it's not. You got the new player. You get the new one. What is this here, Herbie? Sounds like what? Togo. Oh, yeah, Togo. I almost bought Togo. I almost bought it. And
I'm not familiar with this one.
Togo was the go-to for RVs. It was a satellite setup that went on top
Oh,
of the RV.
I thought this was okay, got it.
Yeah, that Togo. And they bought, it was the cheapest. It was the best. Everything about it was perfect. And and it had been out for a while. And I was going to buy it, and I waited. Heidi put it off. She says, no, let's not do that. Let's not go that way. Now, this is far before we got it on board with EZCOM at all. And all of a sudden, within a month, of me deciding to get it and deciding to hold off on it, a month later, they just pulled the rug out from everybody. Said, yeah, we're done. We're all finished. Yeah, Herbie, I remember he fell into that. It only lasted just for a very short time for him. Yeah, that was so wrong. That was so wrong.
Well, that being the case, EZCOM was actually legally and fully formed in 2009, which can be checked with the Secretary of State. No problem. We've been there. So that's a few years now.
Oh yeah, few.
And Mike, I don't know. You've now been with us. It's more than 2 years since you discovered us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah, because we started at home. We wanted to try it out again. We were Google high-speed internet, and we did one of these numbers and picked you. And I told her, I said, well, everything looks good, everything sounds good. I've got it coming. Let's go ahead and see how it works at the house. And we utilized it at the house a little bit. We went on a camping trip. We used it when we were on the trip, and it was great. And I thought, okay, well, it seems like it's going to work. And then when we hit the road and we started, all these spots, it just kept on working.
That was back on the old small little
one. Yeah, which was it was a little tank. It was nice because we could throw it in the cab of the truck a little bit easier than the monster we have now. But I would never go back to that little one after having this thing. That's for sure. It definitely does a great job. And when I say monster, it's literally so big. It's
oh man, it's the size of a small book.
Yeah, with antennas. It looks like an upside down spider. It's not anything.
8-inch by 6-inch by 1-inch, maybe. Yeah.
So I think that'll conclude our services for the day.
Well, we almost made it to the 2-hour mark. Any last minute question?
Yeah.
I'm here.
It's a difficult. Again, I know it's a difficult concept, but this is a lot of, and I'm talking about an older crowd now, Jesse. I'm talking to the guys that are my age or older. I know the concepts don't make sense. We're all used to having the phone on the wall and a cable coming into our TV, and it doesn't make any sense how this stuff operates. But it is pretty flawless and seamless as long as you have good internet, which they offer. Then you can get easy TV. I mean, that's for that. So they all go hand in hand, and the fact that maybe you just got used to your smartphone and understanding that you had to be outside of buildings for signals and stuff like that. And you probably realized that you could probably get internet that same way. Yeah, he has that. And then, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're not close to cell towers, which middle of nowhere, to let you guys know, when we were in East Rochester, Ohio, we were in the middle of nowhere to the point where we had to put up our antenna and plug into this really nice router and shotgun point with our antenna the direction of a cell tower just to get enough signal that we could actually communicate and do what we wanted on the internet like we normally do.
The pizza pie on a pole. Yeah.
And so you're going to run into situations that the satellite is going to shine greatly if you go through Starlink, because you don't have to rely on trying to reach that stupid cell tower, because sometimes you're going to be way too far away from that cell tower where you're always the same distance from the satellites. You just have to make sure that you're in an area that the satellites are traveling. That's it. Which, again, that's going to increase as we go along. And there are some maps that are available that show, but it's just like cell maps. I don't trust them any more than I do the cell phone coverage maps, because when you zoom in on them and you get to an area that you know is a dead area, and it shows a whole bunch of people that have connected at some point while they were driving down the street, and it's like, how in the world could they be getting signal here? Well, they probably didn't. It probably just it was a carryover or something that they hung on to until it disappeared, and then they picked it up the street. So they say, oh yeah, they had coverage there. Well, I'm sure the satellites are going to be the same thing. So you can look at the coverage maps. I know right now, if you're in parts of the out west, out in the middle of certain areas, you're going to have great service compared to no cell service whatsoever with any carrier. But then you're going to find other areas that you're not going to necessarily have the coverage either. So if you have to have coverage,
we have the dual carrier plans too.
Yes,
You know,
they
I mean,
do.
we can do that.
Yep. Yeah, which the dual carrier, if you guys don't know, that's through the cell service. That's the sell your data, and you're basically going to have a couple plans that are built into one router, and you're just going to stick it out there, and it's going to choose
If it
or
can't get
combine.
one, it gets the other.
Yeah,
But if we
right.
can get them both, it puts them together. Yeah.
And you really fly. Yeah. So there's a lot there. A lot to digest. So again, as this video, I don't know when you're actually watching this. It could be a year from now. Things could be different, which I wouldn't be surprised if they're not. I mean, at that point, we might be all wearing the arm and sickle red hammer by then. Maybe we'll be invaded by Russia. Who knows?
Would that be the Soviet reunion?
Yes, Soviet reunion. What'd you say, Hyde?
If there's comments after, we'll have to get the answer for him if we don't know.
Yeah.
I want to
Well,
put that in there,
theoretically, we're going to try to link this or something. But yeah, I'll make a point to watch your page, and if we'll figure it out.
Right. So that should do it. And we're going to thank Jesse for spending his evening with us, because this is something that we just couldn't answer all these questions.
My pleasure, man. It's been a long time coming. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to do this. So, you know how we're going to close this out? I'm going to turn on Heidi's mic. Go ahead, Heidi.
As always, we hope to see you out here. Bye.